We're heading into a new year, but if there's something that 2023 will be remembered for, it's the war that is still underway as we speak. And now, its ripple effects can be seen in our seas and oceans as well, or so it seems. 2 ships were attacked in 2 days, hitting our strategic economic trade routes. The first attack took place in the Arabian Sea on a ship called MV Pluto. It's used to transport chemicals. It is owned by a Japanese company, but operated by a Dutch entity. Now, as it traveled from Saudi Arabia's Al Jubail to India's New Mangalore with 21 Indians on board, MV Pluto was attacked by a drone in the Arabian Sea, or what we call the Indian Ocean region. Thankfully, no casualties were reported. The Indian Navy swung into action immediately, and we brought MV Pluto back to India. The United States, meanwhile, has accused Iran for this attack, but Tehran has denied these claims. Now remember, India will have to walk the tightrope between maintaining its relations with Iran and the United States, as the two countries have a deepening rivalry, the latest being the Houthis in Yemen, who have threatened to hit American vessels as well. The next day, another Indian ship, another ship which had Indians on board, was attacked in the Red Sea. MV Sai Baba, with 25 Indians on board, was attacked. Fortunately, no casualties here as well. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh gave the country's first official statement after the attacks today. Listen into what he said.
आजकल समुंदर में हलचल कुछ ज्यादा बढ़ गई है। भारत की बढ़ती आर्थिक और सामरिक ताकत ने कुछ ताकतों को ईर्ष्या और द्वेष से भर दिया है। अरब सागर में हाल में हुए एमवी प्लूटो पर ड्रोन हमले और कुछ पहले लाल सागर में एमवी साई बाबा पर हुए हमले को भारत सरकार ने बहुत ही गंभीरतापूर्वक लिया है। भारतीय नौसेना ने समुद्र की निगरानी बढ़ा दी है। जिन्होंने भी इस हमले को अंजाम दिया है, उन्हें हम सागर तल से भी ढूंढ निकालेंगे और उनके खिलाफ कठोर कार्रवाई की जाएगी। मैं यह आपको आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं। साथियों, भारत पूरे इंडियन ओशन रीजन में नेट सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइडर की भूमिका में है। हम सुनिश्चित करेंगे कि इस इलाके में होने वाले समुद्री व्यापार सागर से उठकर आसमान की बुलंदियों तक पहुंचे।
But why is it that these two routes are witnessing maritime attacks? Here's why. The Indian Ocean region connects major sea routes between the east and the west. 40% of the global oil supply travels via this route. 40% global offshore oil production takes place in the Indian Ocean basin. 15% of the world's fishing occurs here, and about 27.9% of the world's natural gas reserves, in fact 2.79%, are held here. For India, 95% of its trade by volume happens in the Indian Ocean region. If we talk about the oil, 80% of India's crude oil requirement is imported by sea via the Indian Ocean. Now, with this kind of economic weight that this region holds, it is imperative to secure it even more, especially after the attacks that we have seen. To talk more on this, I'm joined on the show by Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha. He's the former Chief of the Integrated Defence Staff. Sandeep Chandra, former member, National Shipping Board, joins me in the studio. Maruf Raza, Consulting Editor, Times Network, joins me, and Colonel Dinny, Defence Expert, also joins me. I'd like to start with you, first of all, Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha. Do you sense that the ripple effects of the Israel-Hamas war have reached Indian shores?
Well, thank you, Shreya, for getting me on your program. And let me wish your viewers very happy New Year. I know the news is not very happy at the moment, but you know, hitting the economic targets is something new. It is normally doesn't happen. Even in maritime warfare, this is the last resort that you do because you know that is likely to escalate. But here, Shreya, we do not know who the enemy is. Who's the one who has launched it? America has made some statement which the Iranians have denied. Mind you, the ship was not flying Indian flag, and they don't know who are on board. And therefore, to say that it is attack on India, I would like to refrain from that. Number two, depending upon who has done this attack, let us say for a minute that the Americans are right. India has very good equation with Iran. And I think the diplomatic channels would have already swung into action that, do not carry out these kind of attacks because it is going to hit the economy, not only of India. If Indian economy is hit, Shreya, the world economy will be hit. Don't forget that we are, the fifth largest economy at the moment, and between China and India, we're driving the world's whole economy. So I think it is a serious issue. Now, what do we do for this? Firstly, do this diplomatic issue that I mentioned, the diplomatic initiative, begin to escort the ships with the warships. Have a convoy of 5, 6 ships in a row, just like we did in the anti-piracy patrol, and have one or two warships, along with them. Warships are quite capable of engaging surface-to-surface missiles and shooting it down. I dare say that Indian Navy can shoot down every missile that it is launched on the ships. The second thing is that of drones. Now, this is little new method of war fighting. Overland, you see what is happening in Ukraine. Similar things are happening in the Red Sea, and the American ships were also attacked. Now, this is not it is true that it is the ripple effect of that war, that not really the Israeli and the Hamas war, but I think there is some impact that any oil which is being carried for Israel or by America, the Houthis on behalf of the some of the terrorist organization and some of the non-state actors, they are willing to hit their interest. And here, Red Sea is, as you mentioned, you gave all that figure. Red Sea and Gulf are the two sort of drivers of the engine in the whole world. Shreya.
Okay. Okay. Before I, get into the nitty-gritties of the reasons behind this attack and, like you said, the new kind of warfare that has emerged in the maritime sector as well, that of the drone threat, I want to understand from Sandeep Chandra how this whole thing really works. We're not seeing the military ships here. We are seeing commercial merchant ships that are being attacked. First of all, help us understand how were the Indians on board, because the flags were different. The companies that own these vessels are from a different company. For the benefit of our viewers, just simplify for us how this whole thing operates.
Good evening, Shreya. Thanks for having me on your show. How it works is this, that, ships may be flying different flags, but fact of the matter is this, that our ship was attacked. And also, the people who attacked may have done some, intelligence homework attacking our ship. This is a very serious matter. And I would like to say that, you see, I had said it earlier in an interview to a British tabloid, that today maritime security is of utmost importance, and any country which rules the seas will rule the world. How this operates is this, that, ships fly different flags, but fact of the matter is this, that this ship has been attacked, and the only solution to this, Shreya, is this, that like my predecessor speaker said, to have these ships, to have them escorted by warships. And also we must nail down the culprit. I would also like to say, on a broader context, that no other prime minister has been more laser focused on security, especially maritime security, as Mr. Modi has been. You will see what has happened is this: today all bureaucratic bottlenecks, red tapes have been removed, and we are acquiring the finest aircraft destroyers. We are building the finest aircraft destroyers. Arms and ammunition are there on call. And let me tell you, our borders are totally secure. But fact of the matter is this, that the culprit needs to be nailed down, and we have to make sure and set an example that nobody attack our ships. And I would like to, stick my head out and say that the culprit knew that this is a ship of Indian origin. It may be flying any flag. That is my own information.
Okay. Okay, Maruf Raza, there are, of course, echoes after the defense minister today gave a statement that India will go after the perpetrators and we will give them a befitting reply. But the challenge that lies in front of India is not small. We have to, look at the kind of animosities that prevail in the Indian Ocean region, specifically since we're talking about the ripple effect of the war. Do you think that's going to be an easy task for India?
In the area of conflict management, nothing is easy. It could be a small incident. It could be a full-fledged conflict like the one between Israel and Hamas. Everything requires a great deal of planning, backup initiatives. Everyone has to be on board. So as far as specifically talking about the drone challenge, see, I'd like to stick my neck out and say, firstly, the Houthis from Yemen, who are notorious for pirating ships, have been in the past using drones even to attack Saudi Arabia and its oil facilities. So drones has become a weapon of choice for everybody from Pakistan to China to, of course, the Houthis, and in the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and Russia, of course. So drones is something which are there to stay. Now you have to find countermeasures. One countermeasure, as the Admiral has rightly suggested, that more patrols to be in the sea near the area where India-centric shipments are coming towards India or in the seas around the African coastline. But I would argue even further that, the naval ships of the Indian Navy regularly patrol these areas. They have been doing that for years. They also do port visits. And we have one or two bases now on the coastline of the Gulf and Africa. Like in Oman, there is Dakham. There is also Djibouti is something that a lot of countries are taking small port spaces there to give them that much of quick reaction time. So we have to place more naval assets in that area. Also understand that China has got involved in the Indian Ocean region simply under the pretext of fighting piracy. But that was not really what China wanted to do. China has got involved there basically to firm its feet up on the ocean coastlines so that China's influence and reach is increased considerably. China already has the largest navy in the world, and China is going to become bigger and stronger. So we can't look at traditional enemies, traditional threats, and keep preparing to fight the last war, which might never happen. You have to prepare for the next conflict. The other issue is that what do you do with drones? You see, there are many mechanisms. One is there are anti-drone mechanisms that are already existing, whether on land, sea, or even air-to-air. So you have to put your resources into place. This is the future of warfare. The second thing is that with drones now becoming the weapon of choice, both for conventional forces and unconventional forces like rebels, you have to put together your own scientific research bodies to quickly produce equipment that is going to give you the ability to hit back and anticipate. The basic thing about terror attacks is you prepare and you preempt. But if you don't prepare and you're waiting that this was the last attack that would take place, everything will be hunky-dory after that, then you're being terribly foolish. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. So you have to be more aggressive, and you have to put your resources in place, not just to guard your coastline, but to guard your strategic interest in the high seas, which includes merchant shipping. Back to you.
Sure. Let me take this to Colonel Dinny. Colonel Dinny, the fact that this is a new emerging threat, Maruf said this is the future warfare, but I think this is the present warfare. We are witnessing it right now, that we are, seeing drone attacks. How equipped are we as the Indian security, arrangement that is in place to handle this new threat that has emerged? Because even drones in maritime sector have had their own challenges. Something as perhaps small as using jammers with drones in the maritime sector has also been a challenging task. Leave alone the bigger, the major, more big challenges that come along with it. But how equipped are we to deal with this threat?
Ma'am, I think we are in the process of being fully equipped, or should I say that to the extent to which we all will be happy to say ourselves that we are fully equipped now and fully prepared to take on any kind of attack. And as I say this, I also say that it is not only us. If you look at any army or the navy across the globe, everybody is fighting this challenge of drones, and not only army, navy, even normal warfare. We've seen what is happening in Israel, Hamas issues. We've seen the Houthis have actually targeted right up to UAE and Saudi Arabia also. This is a threat which is evolving itself, and as Maro sir was mentioning that there are processes, there are technologies being developed to counter it. So in that process, I think India and Indian Navy and Indian Army and Indian Air Force, they're all in the process of getting into that stage where we have the technology, we have the wherewithal to counter it. But I feel that it is not only this particular, it cannot be just military means to overcome this menace, because it's a small kind of a thing which anybody can use from anywhere, and no matter how much technology you have, you may still find somebody or the other, using this. I feel that the deterrence lies not only in the maritime domain; it lies at the root cause from where these people are allowed to operate, from where they are given the support, and from where they are being told to operate. So that deterrence has to go. It has to be affected there. So therefore, it is a larger issue which is there, and I feel it is both diplomatically and also, if necessary, some other actions which need to be taken apart from the maritime domain will actually help us to have a kind of a safe passage. So just the maritime domain, like what Admiral Sinha sir said, that is also there. But other than that, I think we'll have to look far beyond that, so that the people who plan this should know that India will not take it lying. And also, if there is a threat to India's, first of all, the lives of the sailors, and second, the economic interest of India, it will hurt them. So then I think we will be able to overcome this menace.
Maruf Raza, therefore, the next question arises to take the further step. Is India ready, therefore, to join the US-led coalition? A further action would, of course, require better coordination within the coalition, more interoperability within this coalition. But we have seen differences earlier as well within the coalition when, Italy, France, and Spain did withdraw. But is India really ready to join this coalition and take further action while walking that tightrope of relationship with Iran?
You see, it's a very Western thing to point fingers at Iran if there is any ripple beyond the normal in the Indian Ocean region. But, Iran's very smart. That's how it's managed to evade attacks on it and conflicts, because it clears itself in a way that it remains outside the radar zone. Iran will not do anything to either escalate a conflict-like situation or upset India, because India has been very supportive of Iran all along. I mean, Chabahar port is a case in point. The other thing is that India has already initiated a number of measures, which includes technology that our scientific community is making to counter all sorts of threats, whether it's satellite-centric challenges or drones. And I think India, I would not say is the first top of the block as far as dealing with drones concerned, but we are getting there. The ones who have a massive drone arsenal are China and Turkey. And Pakistan is hand in glove with both of them. Not that I'm saying Pakistan would have had anything to do with this attack, but we should be prepared for the situation in the maritime area and the land area where drones will become more and more, as Colonel Dimni rightly brought out. You are able to avoid being blamed for something because it's very hard to identify where the drone came from. They're cheap, they're effective, and they are unrecognizable till quite close to the target. Uh, Please remember that drones itself are going to be used in large numbers. And in recent parades of the army, they have shown that we can also launch swarms of drone of up to 1,000 drones. So we are working on it, but we are certainly not the top country as far as dealing with the drone challenge and the drone response to the challenge is concerned. However, there are other threats that are equally there. The Raksha Mantri has also done a submarine related sortie, because the submarines are an extremely potent weapon system which are used by the Navy, and they can be used effectively to stall the enemy's plans. Admiral Sinha would be able to educate us much better on that. But quite frankly, submarines, the debate is still on between submarines and aircraft carrier. What is more relevant for India? I believe both are. At this stage, it's early days to write off one thing for another. But submarines, other than drones, are equally important. And those that are using, one thing you have to understand, that the drones don't have, by and large, such a long operating range. So anybody who's going to fire a drone at your shipping has to do it from quite close to the shipping with another vessel somewhere there. And that's where, if you are able to identify who's been doing it, then use your resources and knock the bloody chap off. That's how the military is trained to operate. And beyond the point, you don't debate about what the threat is and how your response should be. Drills are in place. Only the commanders have to be willing to give the orders, and you get on with it.
Yeah. Before I ask Admiral Sinha about the way forward, let me understand from Sandeep Chandra. Sandeep Chandra, people like yourselves who've been working in this area for years, what's the kind of impact such kind of attacks have when it comes to the economic significance of this region? Traders there who are involved, people in shipping who are involved, what do they really go through? What are their concerns at this point?
Shreya, that is exactly a great question. Fact of the matter is this, that 90% of world trade is done through the maritime route. That's number one. Number two, not long back, you would remember that Suez Canal, there was an incident where ship blocked the Suez Canal, and the whole supply system shook, not only of that region, of the world. So today, opening maritime routes, making them smooth, making sure that goods, there's free flow of goods, is very important. And I would like to say that, we have threat from China. It may be the biggest, producer of destroyers, but fact of the matter is this, that India is not lagging behind. And today our indigenous production, we are importing destroyers, and I would like to congratulate Prime Minister Modi for making total hassle-free acquiring of weapons. And as far as your question is concerned, today it is very important that our maritime borders are totally secure. And Shreya, one thing more, we need to teach a lesson, and it is not very difficult to find out who the enemy is. Whether we have, we have to walk a tightrope or we don't have to walk a tightrope, the message should go loud and clear that India means business, and we will not tolerate any attack on our ships, whether they are defense ships or they are private ships. And also, it is very important because today there is unleashing of developmental forces by Prime Minister Modi's proactive actions, affirmative actions, and he's making sure that the whole country is totally secure. Especially the maritime security is, I would say, of prime importance. I would like to say that if you look into history nearby, that all theaters war theaters in the world, attacks are launched by, aircraft destroyers. We need to give equal importance for building nuclear submarines. We need to give equal importance in building, defense ships, naval ships, and also all our private business revolves around maritime security. So we should protect our, assets so that, our business is not affected, because today India is one of the fastest growing economies, and 2047 we will be #1 in the world.
Okay, Admiral Shekhar Sinha, what's the way forward then for India? What are India's options? We know that militarily, of course, we've had our strengths and our challenges, but when we see commercial vessels being attacked, what's really the way forward? How do we go about it?
Well, Shreya, the first task of Indian Navy, a written task, is to protect the sea lanes of communication. So this is not something new which is happening. That is our duty right from beginning. Everybody is only clearing the sea lanes of communication. Now what has happened is, earlier the threat was in being. We didn't know that the threat will come. Now the threat has come in the form of drones and actual attack taking place on the merchant ships. So as I mentioned, the immediate action to my mind should be to get these ships in a convoy in these restricted areas and have a escort in the beginning, right in the lead and behind, so that it can take on any incoming missile, or it can take on the swarm of drones. You have these very high speed anti-aircraft guns which can fire nearly, you don't have to take an aim, 3,000, 4,000 rounds a minute. You will have to install more number. Right now there are maybe 2 or 3. Some ships have 4 mountings. The 4 mountings are, I would think that it is enough for a swarm of ships. So all ships must have 4 mountings now, those who are in patrol. Now we are always present in the Gulf, we are always present in the Red Sea. So it's not extra. I mean, that is the duty of the Indian Navy. Navy's duty is to protect sea lanes of communication. So it is not something that it has suddenly come and we don't know how to do it. No, it is not true. The whole job is to ensure maritime security. That is the first task of the Navy. So I would say that the second important thing is that we should start the diplomatic channel, talk to the countries who we think or who have been blamed that they are the ones who are doing this attack. Our relation with Iran is very good. Our relation with Saudi is very good. And therefore, I would think Hezbollah, Hamas, or maybe Houthis, they all can be tamed. If you have an Indian ship and an Indian flag flying on it, then positively not. But in general, no trade ship should be hampered. Number 2. Number 3, to my mind, that now this kind of warfare, we have to be better prepared not only over sea, but over land, in the air, in forward areas, because this war is here to stay. This is the new form of warfare using the drones. And therefore, we have to look at some very big picture as to what can we use in all these places. So I think that this is, and you mentioned about joining America. Listen, we are not sort of part of Indian alliance. Yes, we can coordinate on ground. We are coordinating with the Chinese, with the PLA ships in Red Sea. When the convoy lines up, Indian and Chinese naval ships talk to each other, and both escort, one in the beginning and one at the end. Very similar thing within themselves they can do. I don't see any question of Indian ship going into a coalition where is being steered and commanded by some other country. It will not happen.
Okay. Quickly, last word to Colonel Dilli. Colonel Dilli, do you resonate with what Admiral Sinha said, number 1? And number 2, of course, not just drone attacks, we also have to be ready about cyber attacks. These 2 are the major emerging threats in warfare that we have to counter and counter them successfully.
Oh, absolutely, ma'am. I do agree with Admiral Sinha, what he said, that I don't see ourselves joining any alliance in the manner that, like what he said, we will be taking orders from somebody else, and we'll form part of that kind of a military coalition. But of course, there will be joint exercises. There will be joint anti-piracy kind of things, and all those things will happen, but not kind of anything against any particular nation or such things. I don't see it happening. And secondly, of course, cyber is one threat which is always there. But a whole lot of new warfare is emerging, like what we are seeing in this drone. And also, we should not rule out the possibilities, especially in this particular area, which has close proximity towards Pakistan and their maritime area also, that people from this country, especially Pakistan, utilizing this kind of a fog of war scenario and targeting us. So that scenario also we must remember, because in this particular operation, the blame game can be, it can be very easily be hidden that who is actually to be blamed. So I find that threat also a very serious threat, that Pakistani non-state actors making use of this scenario which is happening in the Indian Ocean region and trying to harm our interests.
Okay, so we'll have to be careful of that. We leave it there. Maruf Raza, Colonel Dinny, Admiral Shekhar Sinha, and Sandeep Chandra. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the show and sharing your perspective and helping us better understand this situation and the kind of threats that lie before India and its maritime sector. Thank you very much to all of you.